Change. We either hate it or we love it, right? Most of the time we hate it. It can be painful, it can be uncomfortable, and also hard to deal with. I'm going through a particular season of change right now, and it got me asking myself the question, Tori, how can you deal with change better? And how can I encourage and help other people going through a journey of change as well? Because we're all going through stuff. In this video, we will be exploring practical ways in which you can deal with change better in your life, whether they're big or small life changes. And also ask ourselves the question, why do we take change so hard? Maybe you've asked yourself that very question. Why is change so hard? I've also like to ask myself why there is a permanent hair shoved in my eyeball. The short answer is change usually requires us to adjust, stop, or do something different in our routines and ultimately in our lives. An obvious example would be when you break up with someone, you usually stop seeing them, right? You don't continue going out on dates with them, even though some of you do, don't you? Change demands adjustments. Maybe it's going to force you to add something into your routine, or perhaps it's going to take a significant part away. Like for me, my routine has had to factor in quite a bit of medication since I got sick. It's also forced me to stop certain habits. For example, now I hardly drink at all, and I also eat very differently than I did before as a way to keep as healthy as I can and keep feeding myself the good nutrients. So there has had to be changes forced into my life to accommodate the change in my health. Change usually sparks one of two reactions in people: escape coping and control coping. When we cope with change through escaping, we are big time avoiding it. Now we've all been there, right? Even to the point where we try to lie to ourselves that the change isn't happening at all. I'd argue that this is 100% not a good habit to have in your life. I don't think there's any scenario where choosing to escape from a change as a way to cope is healthy. Change is going to happen in your life one way or another, and there is no avoiding that. Other people try and cope by trying to control the situation. That is 1000% me. They adopt to a proactive response to change. I definitely find myself in this camp, and actually I think this is how I am known in my family as being really calm when catastrophe happens, is because I really try and see things in a practical way, and then I deal with my emotions later. Practically and mentally, this way of coping can be pretty healthy. However, there's a big but. However, don't fall into the trap that you can control everything when a change happens. Because if you become too much of a control freak, you're going to spiral when you realize that actually you can't control everything. There will always be parts of a change that you cannot control. So make sure you have a healthy mindset to control coping. Here are some practical tips to help you get yourself through change. First tip, accept change is going to happen. I think practically we have to embrace the fact that, change is usually a good thing. And realistically, it's going to happen. It's going to keep happening in our lives, no matter what. Change should happen regularly. That's healthy. If change never happened, then we would be forever stuck in the place that we are in. And that honestly terrifies me. Although not all change is good, we can choose, yes, choice, to have a practical and positive response to it. Tip 2, be prepared. Have an action plan. Have an action plan once you know that a change is about to happen or is inevitable. I know I spent the last few videos ragging on, having a life plan and planning your life out too much and blah, blah, blah. But this is not what I mean when I say have a plan. I'm talking about planning your response to a specific change. Moving house? Well, you have to have some sort of action plan to move your stuff from house A to house B. You can't magically blink your items to another house. Make lists, create checklists, write things out on the note app of your phone. Get preparing. I always deal with big changes better when I know they're going to happen for a start and I'm able to have time to prepare my response to it. Notice I didn't say reaction, and we have spoken about this in a previous video. When you react to something, it's more of a trigger of emotions. It's almost uncontrollable, right? Whereas responding demands some sort of thought and pragmatism. So plan your response to change, even if you don't know if this change is going to happen. In your mind, decide how you are going to practically deal with X, Y, and Z, or Z if you're in the UK. I've never understood why people call the letter Z, but okay. And I've been here for 24 years. Plan your response to change, not your reaction. So not to be morbid, but I've already planned out in my head a better way that I'm going to respond to grief and loss when that change happens again in my life. I can't say like emotionally how I'm gonna handle it, but I've set different action plans in my mind for when it happens again, after having gone through what I've gone through before and knowing what worked for me and what I wish I had done better. I think this is also, I'm gonna say it, an element of being more self-aware as you go through different situations and changes in life. Plan how you're going to respond to both the expected and the unexpected. And as a side note, because I know some people are going to take this literally, no, I do not mean planning absolutely every single eventuality that might or might not happen in your life. That would be silly, and that would be a waste of time, and that would be emotionally stressful. No, I'm not saying that. But there are some life changes that we know will happen and that we can still plan a response to and be better prepared for. If you're finding this video useful, then make sure you hit on that like button. And if you know someone that would benefit from hearing about how to deal with change, then make sure you share the link with them. Tip 3. Be present. I don't know about you, but when I know certain changes are going to happen, it makes me want to jump into the future instead of actually staying in the present. It's almost like I want to hurry up and get the change over with, rip the band-aid off, but I miss out on some really important moments in the present. Even during big life changes, you gotta still adopt a mindset of taking one day at a time. It is hard sometimes because you do want to race ahead, but rushing to the next thing will only bring you regret and actually might rob you of closure of the chapter that you're in right now. Sometimes I think this happens when we're trying to control the change too much, which, like I said, can be healthy to, adapt a practical approach. But if you do it to the extreme and you try and control everything instead of just enjoying where you are, we can mentally jump too soon instead of actually enjoying the here and now. I've definitely been very guilty of this, even recently. Tip 4. Be kind to yourself and practice regular self-care. Change is inevitably going to cause both physical and mental reactions. We can't help that. However good a change is, oftentimes it's still very stressful. You think about people who are trying to plan a wedding, and as amazing as the occasion is, the change itself and trying to get everything as it should, not only for the wedding, but moving into a new house and all of that is so stressful. People react to change in different ways, but the most common side effects of change in a physical way are anxiety, stomach issues, appetite changes, sleeping problems, headaches, depression, feelings of being overwhelmed. Sometimes we can also get ourselves really run down by the stress of it that we end up getting sick. We can catch a cold or a flu. There are many more different reactions to change, but in general, it's really important during a big season of change to look after yourself. Schedule in time for self-care. Block it out in your calendar, put a reminder on your iPhone, do whatever you have to do, schedule time for self-care. This is so important. And oftentimes, this is the thing that people don't actually do. Go back to counseling or start counseling. Eat as healthy as possible so you get all the good nutrients that you need in order to sustain your body through a big change. Don't add any unnecessary stress in your life. Learn how to say no, which is what we've talked about before. Take your vitamins. De-stress in a way that you love. For example, I love taking bubble baths. Some people like to go for a 100-mile run. I do not, personally. I do like also taking Heart for a walk. That also de-stresses me a lot. And she's also really cute on her little lead. Tip number 5, ask for help when you need it. Short and sweet, but when you're going through changes in your life, whatever they are, punt the pride, and I'm speaking to myself for sure when I say this, and ask other people for help and support. You'll be surprised at the people who rally around you and actually want to walk with you through the season of change that you're in. But you have to let them know, you have to ask. I hope you enjoyed this video and I appreciate you choosing to hang out with me, and I will see you in the next one. Unless it changes.
I'm aiming for the sky. Don't let me die.